Welcome back to the Eric Krown Crypto channel. Wishing you a happy and healthy start to this nice Thursday morning. Enjoy your English breakfast, sirs and zers. And with that said, welcome back to the Eric Krown Crypto channel. Of course, it is Thursday morning and Bitcoin has survived the evening. I wanted to follow up on yesterday's short-term time frame analysis. We were looking for first a downside continuation move somewhere between about 23.40, 23.5. Looks like we got about that, and then a bounce from those levels, and that's where we're kind of at today. So I wanted to thread that one into the medium and higher term time frames. Speak a little bit about a setup that is occurring over here on a 4-hour time frame as well. And other than that, I have a major question to the community. Why is it completely fine when I use English voice right here or Australian voice right here? But if I start to do, hello, please, and welcome to the Eric Krown Crypto channel, that's not okay. Well, that's a question that I'll let you answer in the comment section below, and let's just get on into the analysis before I get fucking canceled. Anyways, speaking of cancellations, Elsa's canceled as well because she spoke well about the new Harry Potter Hogwarts game. Can't say that no more. Anyways, yeah, starting off over here on the 4-hour time frame. Yesterday, we were looking at very likely a downside continuation move to the bottom side of the 80% of historic returns range lows, which was this area right around here. Bitcoin getting a nice strike down there around midday for myself over here in Dubai, and then bouncing off those levels at about 23,550 or so. So ultimately, that leads us to where we're at today, and Bitcoin is right again at a major pivot for the 4-hour time frame, right around the 24.5. What exactly is this? It's 24,550 or so, right here on a 4-hour time frame closing basis, and it's the same thing as yesterday. Basically, Bitcoin can actually pop back above there and close above there. That's at the point where I'd be looking for likely another move towards the current overall highs, in the shallow 25s, with the potential to break out for much further. Actually, as we can see over here, that would bleed into the daily time frame as Bitcoin would get its first closure above the median on the 50% of its, or just the median, basically. And very likely initiate a move, I think the move that a lot of people have been looking for, which is very likely into the mid, maybe even deep $26,000 territory. Of course, probably wouldn't be all on the same, on the same day. Probably gonna be some lower term time frame pullbacks in between, but ultimately that's where about I'd be looking for. Before the next sort of short-term consolidation. Anyways, back over here onto the 4-hour time frame. Again, until that actually is confirmed, well, there's not really anything new to expect except for more range and behavior. Now, I do want to point something out, that there is actually a decent risk of a downside move here short-term that is, back down to the medium of the 4-hour returns right here at about 23,900 to 24,000 bucks. Why do I say that? Well, one, as long as you're kind of playing within this range, that is somewhat likely, dare I say. And then two, that is where the CME gap is from yesterday's price action. Right in that region, about 23.9 to 24,000 bucks. So do be aware of that. If Bitcoin were to come back down there, I would be looking for a bounce first and foremost. But now that Bitcoin seemingly does have yet another higher term, or not higher term time frame, but higher low on the medium term time frames, I'd be using yesterday's low as a pivot for beginning significantly more downside. Meaning that if Bitcoin does trade below yesterday's low, very likely going to see a move all the way down first to low 23, like 23 even, probably another attempt for a bounce there, and then probably down into the mid 22s. But for right now, upside on the short-term timeframes does seem a little bit more likely, and I just wanted to point that out just in case we do see an intraday move, to that effect. Because one weird statistic that I've actually been mulling over recently, and I'm curious if anyone can corroborate this, but because this was a bit of a surprise to myself, but Thursdays are actually, over the past 2 months now, Thursdays have been majoritarily, if that's even a word, down days for Bitcoin and cryptos at large. Anyways, moving on now into stochastic momentum to kind of see where those pivots are, to see where things might start to change around. We can see in the hourly time frame, very obviously that gap coming in that region, but we can see in the hourly time frame stochastic momentum already up here in the critical regions. Not like super concerning, but will turn down and remain with downside momentum as long as Bitcoin's closing on CME below 24,680 or so. Moving on to the 4-hour time frame, a little bit more interesting right here. We can see that it's a completely different picture actually. Pointed to the upside, DMI support as well. as long as Bitcoin's above 23,900. That's actually a very important level, again, because that would be where the gap is. So Bitcoin could theoretically come down there first and still remain with upside momentum, which is why I do say that, first and foremost, very likely a bounce from that region, and probably does try for continuation if it even happens at all. 6-hour time frame is also going to have a chance to cross the upside on the next closure, which is going to be pivoted at 24,300. 12-hour time frame is still kind of down here below 24,900, and daily is actually still up above 24,250. So that pivot moving up rather aggressively now. So what does it all mean? What does it all mean? What does it all mean? What it means is watch those pivots, because that's where things could turn around, of course. But as far as the medium and higher term timeframes go, still does favor another upside try, but still want to see it close above the actual mathematically generated range highs right here. At that point, yeah, probably another return towards the highs. That brings me to my next chart, and perhaps hopefully one of the more interesting portions of this analysis, as this is what I actually do on a day-to-day basis, which is looking at the 4-hour setup over here on, once again, the Joule light strategy that I put on this channel like 3, 4, 5 months ago now. You can find it for yourself if you desire. I don't know, it's somewhere in there. It's probably got a nice clickbait name for it. It's just a YouTube game, unfortunately. But the strategy is this, very, very simple. 4-hour Joule, in this case, coming below the 35 marker right here, and then turning white on the first tick. That initiates a setup, assuming that the daily trend is in the same direction, in this case to the upside. So obviously that is to the upside. We use the 21 and 55 cross for that. You can see the last one was actually a loss, just so you know. But if we actually bring up the statistics for, I think this is, let me see how far this one runs back here. This goes all the way back to 2019. Yeah. So the last 3 years or so, 4 years, something like that, we can see very obviously that this has had generally an up and to the right equity curve here, which is good, which is what you typically want. Again, this simulation is done with a base position size of about 300,000. So that's that's a little bit more than it's like 11, 12 Bitcoin in position size, basically. So the net profit, the max drawdown, and the average trade, like these things, they might not be relevant, but the overall understanding of it, and especially the percent profitable and profit factor, are certainly very relevant here. Of which profit factor at almost 2 and percent profitable with that particular setup at 76 and a quarter almost. I'd say that's pretty good odds. But again, it's not perfect. We saw the most recent one over here. That one failed. And we can also forecast the amount of time that it would take typically, which is about 19 bars. So 19 times 4 is, that's 80. So 76. So 76. I guess that'd be 76 hours, which would be 3 days, which I think is honestly too long. But basically, we'd be looking for somewhere between like a 2 and a 3.5% move from this region, if that one does play out. And what do you know? 2.5% puts you back right around 25, 3% or 3.5% puts you basically at the current high right here. So if this does play out, very likely Bitcoin obviously will confirm over here above this region, get a fresh return to the highs. But the bigger implication with this is that the daily then will very likely initiate the next sort of move. If we see a daily closure above $25,000, at that point, probably going to see an actual fresh breakout. Again, there's probably going to be stops along the way, somewhere right around 26 and a half, let's say, give or take. Anyway, swinging back around to my more generalist chart over here, I did want to follow up on 4-hour, or did I want to say, there was hidden bullish evidence, but that's, it's too late. Too late for that one now, sorry. But then we can go over to maybe the 12-hour. 12-hour starting to work on some phantom drives of hidden bullish evidence, which I thought was rather interesting right there, and I think the daily is too. So, again, assuming that Bitcoin does remain above those momentum pivots, it's probably, it does still favor the upside here. If Bitcoin starts to fail below even the hourly, I'd imagine that's at the point where I'd be looking for a fill of yesterday's gap around 23.9 to 24,000 bucks. If we can actually load the damn chart over here, that would be great. Realize that this video is already going on for about nine hours or 9 minutes. Might feel like 9 hours to some people out there. That's fine. But maybe we could, the bottom side, which is 24,250. Yeah, so that's kind of the short-term area to be aware of. Similar to yesterday's region as well at 24.5 for beginning lower price action. Anyways, the last thing I'd like to bring up here is something that's, it's relevant, but it's going to be more relevant tomorrow, and that is the 5-day Gaussian channel. Once again, it's going to potentially have a chance to close above the mean here, the mean band. The mean band, it's very mean. It's been pushing price action and rejecting it down. Mean. I fucking hate getting rejected. Mean girls rejected me, and now they're going to pay the price. How are they going to pay, might you be asking? I don't fucking know. But anyways, it's going to have a chance to close above the mean band right there. And in this case, anytime that we have seen that in the past after spending a prolonged time below the red zone, that has led to at minimum a test of the top side of the band, which is currently hanging just below 28,000 bucks. You can see the same thing over here, so on and so forth. And in 3 out of the 4 prior iterations, which is all that is available to us historically speaking, those have actually just marched on to new all-time highs as well, which is nice, although it did take a long time, obviously. But yeah, that would kind of be more relevant, let's say, for like early mid-March. So yeah, the clickbait title of today will be Bitcoin to 28,000 bucks. I always understand, that's just YouTube bullshit. Anyways, I'll be signing off on that note. As always, want to show the old Bybit. They got 0% on maker fees for derivative contract orders with my link in the description below. Of course, read the fine print with it because they're going to explain, the finer details with it, which may or may not be for you. I'll let you to be the judge of that. And other than that, I'd like to be wishing the best as always. Take care, much love, and Toodaloo.